another aspect of this event is we encourage networking. We want you to pull out your business cards. Don't ever feel funny about pulling out your business cards at a chamber event. That is expected. And introduce yourself, meet some new people. If people you already know, really take the time to network. So that is great, and I'm thrilled to have our speaker here today. I will share with you that he's really saving us in a pinch, because our Maxwell trainer that we worked with for years, Yannick Hicks, moved to Georgia, and he was scheduled for this class. And it was just 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago, that we found out that he moved out of state to Georgia. And so he said, but I have someone really great that I think I can introduce you to. So Bart Nollenberger is a successful motivational speaker, sales trainer, and executive coach. Throughout his career in the auto industry, Bart spent considerable time learning, studying, and affecting change within his own life and business to maximize his potential and work with integrity and character. He has since used this experience to partner with some of the top companies in the world to help teach sales and leadership for their business leaders and supporting staff. Some of his notable partners include Ford Motor Company, Toyota USA, AutoNation, and Galpin Auto Dealership Groups. It is with true passion for his work that Bart seeks to inspire action with his heartfelt and authentic enthusiasm and energy. His objective is to be a resource for those who wish to make the most of their natural gift in order to achieve success in all aspects of life. He believes his true calling lies in the ability to make a difference in the lives of those around him, encouraging them to live out their passions in a healthy and positive lifestyles. Bart has studied under some of the top motivational coaches in the world, including Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Paul Martinelli, and John Maxwell, to name a few. Bart is truly an example that it is never too late to soar with success, and he resides in Phoenix, Arizona with his wife, Mary. Between the two of them, they have 10 children and 6 grandkids. Put together for Bart Nollenberger.
That was so good. Hi.
Hi.
It's good to see you guys. This is so fun. And I'm really excited to be here, but I have a question. Have you ever been to any kind of an event where the speaker said, oh, I just don't want to be here today? This is not what I want to do? No, of course not. We all hear them say, oh man, we're excited to be here. Well, I'm excited to be here. I really am. And I'm excited to get to know you. I've got a speaker coach, and I work with him a lot. And it used to be when I was in the old days doing sales training, I was that swirling dervish, that guy that had a lot of energy, that was intense. And he just taught me really authenticity. He taught me how to speak with authenticity. He taught me how to care about not what we do up here, but it's all about you. So when you go into a speaker, so many of you all are speakers, right? There's some of us. Isn't that so true? When we care about you more than we care about how we're going to look, it changes everything, doesn't it? So that's the deal. It's all about you. Now, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics today. Developing the leader within you. And I know a few of you are familiar with this book, right? If you're familiar, put your hand in the air like you really care. It's a fantastic subject. And I'll explain why it touches my heart so much. And I also want to tell you that when we talked about doing this meeting, it was about personal development, it was about mindset. I don't think there's any better topic than this for personal development and mindset. And we'll talk about why that is in the time we're together. How many of you are leaders somehow? I'm really glad to hear that because I changed the whole topic up. So I'm really glad to hear that. How many are followers? Yeah, amen. You can't be a good leader if you're not a good follower. How many are parents? How many of you are married? Oh my gosh, you get what it means. How many of you do volunteer work where you might lead a... Get out of here. You guys are overachievers. That's really cool stuff. So you know that this topic could really hit home, and we're going to tell you why as we go ahead. I know a couple of you already told me we use this book, and here it is, and I will tell you, it's been through some. We use this book in our training for our leadership, and so do I, and we'll tell you about that in a second. So here we go. That's me. You've heard enough. I'll just tell you a couple things. Develop the leader within you came to me. In 2013, I joined the John Maxwell team, which is now called Maxwell Leadership. At that time, I think there was 30,000 people as part of the group. Today, there's 46,000 people as part of it in 164 countries. So we're not that special. But I will tell you that we're all entrepreneurs in most cases. It's people that want to know more about leadership or personal development, and they use John Maxwell as a resource. So I joined at 13 and dabbled. And I didn't really deep dive into it until about 16. It's kind of how I roll sometimes in the past. And when I dabbled in it, I looked at where can I make the biggest difference with the Maxwell content. And it was with developing the leader within you. So we've done it for Chick-fil-A, we've done it for construction companies, you heard a few car manufacturers we've done it with, car dealerships all over the country, and in churches, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll talk about that as we go forward. I'm a speaker, you'll get that, that's obviously why I'm in front of you here. But the part I believe, I'm a person of faith, and the part I believe that's really been a change for me more than anything else is I learned how to be a coach. And great leaders that are great coaches make more than anybody else. I'm just saying. Now what's that mean? Well, it's another meaning for another day. But leadership is influence. We'll talk about that. And training is training, and mentoring is mentoring, but coaching is different. Coaching is kind of like being a therapist, but instead of going backwards, we're in the now and the forward. Great coaches ask great questions. Great coaches listen. Great coaches don't have an agenda going in. They want to find out what the audience agenda is, and that's how they determine what way they're going to go. But I don't know about you, but even though I practice asking questions, I sometimes want to tell people instead of ask. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Any D personalities in the room? You want to take control. And the reality of that is, it doesn't make me a great coach. So what I've learned by doing a podcast is how to ask questions and listen. What I've learned by being a coach is how to ask questions and listen. And even though I've done masterminds, which is groups like us, that's really fun. We do it once a week and we get together on the topic. The thing that I see that just takes people from a pit to a place of peace is one-on-one coaching. It's unbelievable what it's done for them, and because of that, what it's done for me. We'll talk about that as we go ahead. Podcast, we'll tell you about this at the end, but that's really who I am. That group right there, we said we have 10 kids, and I'm sorry, Betsy, we actually misled them. There's not 6 grandkids, there's 12. And yes, we're blended, we weren't that busy, but the reality, and she did most of the work, of course, but we do have 10 kids and 12 grandkids between the two of us. Mine are all in California. One of them is a broadcaster for the Sharks, another one is a real estate agent, another one owns a restaurant, another one is going to nursing school, and she's an acupuncturist, so they have busy lives, besides growing their own kiddos. My wife has all her kids here, and when we get together, we need a table for 38 because of family, and it's a gift, and it's nothing I would have imagined, because I didn't even like kids when I was young, but it's incredible, the gift I've been given. So also, my wife and I are co-founders, or actually founders, of Celebrate Recovery. Anybody know what Celebrate Recovery is? It's a 12-step program. I happen to have 38 years of sobriety, and I'll tell you about that maybe at the end. But I got sober a long time ago, and because of that I've been in recovery for a long time and working with addicts and alcoholics and people that just have life issues for a long time. So a couple years ago we started this Celebrate Recovery at Cornerstone Church, and that's been a real victory, and it was definitely directed by God because I didn't choose to do that. So let's talk about why we're here today. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Will you agree? I mean, think about families that struggle, and not yours, of course, but others that you might look at from a distance. It's usually the top is the reason it struggles, right? And unfortunately, so many parents don't take responsibility for their own actions, and thus that could go to their kids. But let's talk about business. How many of you know of a business that might be struggling, or you've seen it struggling in your past? Anybody? It's about leadership, if you think about it, isn't it? And what John says is that the company will not exceed the level of the leadership. Now, what's that mean? It means that if you and I are 3 on the leadership level, we probably have a company that's 3 and under. it can't grow without great leaders. Does that make sense? So what's the point? That you and I need to get better as leaders in every area of our life, and we're going to talk about that as we talk about the topics in this book. Now, I want to read the topics in this book. We're obviously not going to do all of them today, but I want to read them to you, and you can get an idea of the richness, right? The richness in this content. First chapter's on influence. We'll talk about that today. Priorities, we'll talk a little bit about that. Character, creating positive change, build problem solving, attitude, serving people, vision, self-discipline, and personal growth. Ooh, wait. We deep dive into all those, and guess what? We're better people, and we're also better leaders. And what I love about doing this topic with our people is that we teach them to teach their people. And what's so interesting, I've got one person that has 150 employees. And he's only been in this mastermind for 3 weeks. And he's now grabbed the book for all of them. And he's taken, not 140, but he picked an elite group. And he's taken them through the topic. And to me, that's leadership. Because he's learning it, and he said, I really don't know what I'm talking about. But as I teach it, I'm learning it more. Isn't that so true with all of us? Again, thank goodness there wasn't somebody in the front row just now. You get my point. All right. Each of us can grow as a leader. Would you all agree?
Yes.
We get. So, how do we do it? Well, I'm going to ask you to take a note here. Because of my history in recovery, and the fact that I wrote a book about my recovery story, that's actually a leadership story, I want to ask you to write a couple things down. Would you do that for me? Either on your phone or on a piece of paper. And what I want to talk about is, before I talk about it, I want to ask a question, so I make sure I'm dealing with the right audience. How many of you would like to change something in your life? Something. Oh, phew, I was really nervous. I live in Gilbert, all the way over here. I'm thinking, what if they say no? I don't want to change nothing. You might not say it like that either, right? So what I believe is what's called the laws of transformation. I think I coined them, but I probably stole it from somebody else. So here we go. They're very simple, but I want you to think about it, because what we write down today has nothing to do with what you're going to do later. It's the work you do later that's going to determine if this sinks in anymore. Does that make sense? Notice I'm pointing at my heart. Is it going to sink into your soul and your character? Here we go. Number one. Transformation. Number one. Who am I / where am I? Who am I / where am I? Now that seems like an interesting question, doesn't it? You all get what that means is self-awareness. Maxwell says it, you've heard it many times. You and I can't grow if we don't what? Know ourselves. So this is about knowing ourselves and growing ourselves. Would you agree? Now let me ask you a question. How many of you have done any type of assessment over the last 20, 30, 10 years, 5 years that you've been on this planet in the business world or work world? Okay, good. So you get it. What is the benefit of an assessment? Now I've kind of given you a little bit of a hint, but when you think about those, did you do it when you hired on? Did you do it because you wanted to learn about yourself? Did you do it because you were in a group like this and you thought, oh, I'm going to get one because the person next to me did? Tell me why you did a DISC assessment or any type of an assessment. Anyone?
I did the Wheel of Life just to see where I was in all those aspects.
Cool. And how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Congratulations. Your wheels are turning?
I could do better in fitness, like in health.
Yeah, amen, sister.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting you say that, because every morning I get up, it's my 4:30 time, and I write down my values, which is the same thing as your wheel of life, isn't it? God, recovery, health, my wife, my kids, personal development, relationships, and all the way down the line. There's 10 of them. And I rate them every day. And frankly, the reason I rate them every day is because Cardone said he used to always write his goals down every day. So if I rate my values every day and take that discipline to do it, I can see if my wheel's off a little bit and what I might want to work on today. And trust me, it's not always a 10. Sometimes it's bumpy. But I love doing that inventory every day. In personal development and the 12 steps of recovery, there's number 4, which is doing a personal inventory of yourself. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. Somebody else had a hand up, they wanted to say, yes?
I just say, it helps you to understand the team you're
Yes, it does, and how they think and how they talk. Am I speaking to them in the way that they need to be spoken to? So what I've done for you, and I didn't give one to everybody, but I was close, is I've given you some examples of how that could look. So I'm going to ask for personal, a little bit of help. If you can slide these down. If we don't have enough, please share it with your neighbor. We do have someone back here. If you could give her one and make sure that there's enough for...
Bart, I can make more copies too.
Can you?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me know how many.
We might. There you go. They're not yours, they're examples, of course, because I didn't do one with all of you. But I want to go over it a little bit. Who would say in this room that you're an expert at disc? Like you've got a master's in discology. Anybody? Good. Is there a benefit for you to have expertise in this? Let me tell you, we talked about judgment a little bit earlier. I admit it, I'm a judger sometimes. But I read a really good book on an airplane once, and it said, it was called The Quality of Your Life is Determined by the Quality of Your Questions. And what it said is, don't be a judger, be a curiousitor. Is that a word? In Toledo, where I'm from, it probably is. But it said, don't be a judger, be curious. Ask questions. This tool allows us to know ourselves better, ask ourselves questions better. Now, let me tell you why I believe this tool is so powerful. Whether you've done one or not, that's not the point. I'm not here selling you disc. If you want one later, we do consultations with these. But that's not what I came in the room for. I want you to take a piece of paper and write down 4 squares. Just a line right down the middle and a line left to right, please. And on the left side, at the top, just like a 4 square, right? You got 4 squares in there. Everybody good? At the top, what I ask you to do is write down the word arena. Arena. What's arena? Arena, under that, I want you to write this, if you would. I'm kind of demanding, all right? You thought you were going to get away with a cup of coffee and yeah, right? No, I'm going to put you to work. Arena is I know, you know. I know, you know. Well, what in the world does that mean? Well, we're still back, by the way. I didn't forget your laws of transformation. We're still talking about grow yourself, know yourself. Who am I, where am I? I just want to make that clear, okay? Back to this. The arena is that transparent part of self. People don't want to know how much you know until they know how much you care. Excellent. Man, you're good. I wonder you're in the front row. People don't want you to be right. They want you to be real. And that's where connection comes from. So arena means we're real. I told you we've been together 15 minutes, I already told you I'm a judger. I didn't tell you that to have you judge me. I'm just telling you, it's just, I sometimes do that. I'm better, but I sometimes do that. I already told you I had 38 years of sobriety. And you're thinking, oh, this guy, what a loser he is. But I wanted to tell you a little bit where I've been and what I've been through, right? And is it important to know that? Maybe not. But again, we've got to know each other. And the more we connect, the better off we're going to be, at least for the next 20 minutes, right? So it's the arena part. Everybody good with it? Next one, I want you to write blind spot. We all get what blind spots are. This morning in my prayer time, I asked God to remove my blind spots. I would suggest that for anybody that ask your higher power that. It's a great question to ask in the morning. Because when you get that question asked, guess what happens? They are revealed. And that's where I grow so much by understanding where my blind spots are. So blind spot, I don't know, is how you can put this, what you can write under that. I don't know, you know. Who's you? Well, it could be your spouse, could be somebody you work with. It's that you that understands you more than you even understand yourself. Any questions on that? It's pretty self-explanatory. The next one down, though, I want you to write the word mask. We just finished Halloween, so write mask, M-A-S-K. And under that, if you would, write, I know, you don't know. Those are those secrets that I learned in 8th grade psychology class, those things that we put in the closet. Anybody with me? And we're not going to let anybody know that. I have to be super transparent here. I sit in a group of pastors every Tuesday morning. And it's a small group of pastors that have stuff they're working on. I don't know if anybody knows a pastor, but they're under heavy burden. And this is a secret, not a secret society, but it kind of is, where they get to say what they want and it's a safe place. And they get to let their masks off that they can't do on Sundays or during the weeks. It's really a powerful group. And that means I know and you don't know. Next one, to the right, last one, potential. Potential. I don't know, you don't know. Now let's go back and look at arena. Put an arrow up at arena. Put an arrow down on blind spots. Put an arrow down on mask. What do you think is going to happen to my potential arrow? It's going to go up. If you and I work on our transparency, our realness with ourselves and others, if they know how to communicate with us, and if we have this connection that is so raw and real. I'm not telling you to tell all your staff everything about you, but they do want to see your realness. If you have that, guess what's going to happen? Blind spots blow up in your own personal life. Masks come off. We live in a world of masks. Dude, can I say dude? I've been in the automobile business in some capacity, running a dealership or working with manufacturers for 40 years. They don't have masks. They're full of masks, like any other business, right? Churches have masks. If you and I can take the mask off and help our people take the mask off, guess what we're doing to their potential servants? It goes up. You with me? Now back. Everybody good? Everybody say, yep, I got it, right? Now, go back to those laws of transformation. Thank you so much. Laws of transformation. Number one was what? Somebody say it out loud, please. Who am I? Where am I? Where am I and who am I? We got it? Okay. Awareness. Massive, massive, massive self-awareness. I spend my life, hours a day, learning about Bart. But that's where I grow. Okay. You ready for the next one? We're going to talk more about this. We're going to get deeper into disc in a minute, but I want to give you the rest of these. Next one, where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Doing any kind of behavior assessment allows you to look at some of that. Where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? That's your vision. Number one was awareness. Number two is vision. Number three, you and I's favorite three-letter word, why. If you and I can know why we want what we want, and by the way, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people you're going to teach. You guys are the trainers. You're the servants for your people. Does that make sense? If you're an expert, and we'll talk about this again in a minute, but you're an expert, you can help them find out who they are and where they are. And you can help them with their vision. And you can help them with their why. You think you can grow them.
Sure.
That's where it's at. But there's one more. So number one, who am I, where am I? That's awareness. Number two, where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? That's vision. Number three, why? And number four, what am I doing to sabotage? Anybody a saboteur in the room? What's the choice? And when you and I are aware of those saboteurs, like anything else, awareness blows it up. Does that make sense? Now, how much time do I have? Just let me know.
You have 38 minutes.
38 minutes left? Get out of here. I don't know if I have enough material. Trust me, you know, I can talk. So, that's cool. That's so exciting. So here's the piece of this that I want to share with you. I had some issues a few years ago. It was actually about 15 years ago. And as a matter of fact, I really wanted to know myself. So I went to my therapist, and he said, you need the intensive program. I said, be careful. I'm just saying, be careful. If your therapist says, Bart, you need the intensive, for one thing, they got your name wrong. But if they say you need the intensive, be careful. Ask questions. I said, what is it? He said, I have a cabin in the woods, and you're going to go off the grid for 30 days. No phone, no internet, no human contact, just a refrigerator full of food. All you're going to take with you is a Bible, pens, and paper. That's all you're taking. There's in this cabin, he said, there's a fireplace that's kind of rustic. And guess what I said? Because I was desperate. Come on, somebody give it to
Sign
me.
me up.
Yes! That's, everybody said that. Yes! Say it like you mean it. Yes! I said yes! Like a fool. I drove up, I walked in, and I thought, this is not a cabin. It was a shack. There was a hole in the floor, a crack in the wall. There was a little fireplace with a rocking chair, a little round table, a refrigerator that was pretty big, and a bathtub that was about that big. Dude, I'm 6'2", right? This is my 30-day home, talking to nobody. Changed my life. First thing I did was cry, and the second thing I did was pray, and the third thing I did was read and write. What I didn't tell you is I got to go meet with him every morning during the week for an hour. And he'd say, what'd you do? And I'd tell him, and we'd talk, and he'd help me for the next day. But I'll tell you what happened. I won't give you all the details because we don't have time, but it changed my life because I knew Bart walking out of that more than I ever knew Bart before. And when you can have margin, we'll talk about margin in a few moments, and take margin to really grow and know yourself, dude, here we go again. There's that dude word. It changes everything. I walked out different than when I walked in. Not immediately. I'm a slow study, but I changed. And that's what I was looking for. How can I be a better person than I was before? You all said you want to change. Who am I? Where do I want to be? Why? And what am I doing to get in the way? Let's talk. John obviously wrote this book and has written 120 books, and he talks about the definition of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. And let's talk about what that really means to you. But before we do that, I want to show you some key points in the disc that I handed out to you, okay? By the way, what I think I'll do is, just so we're all of understanding, I'm going to take you through some basic disc training real quick. If you would all turn to what I think is page 4, in fact I know it is, it has 3 graphs on it. Again, all discs are different. This one's fun, it's easy to read. So if somebody would, anyone in the room, think you're a D on the, you took charge of that, you didn't wait, you said, let's go. You're not going to let me finish, are you? That's a great D right there. So go ahead and read, if you would, what the characteristics are of a D. And your name again now?
Barbara.
Barbara, thank you, appreciate you. Can you read those out loud to us, do you mind?
Oh, I thought we were all reading silently. Seeks control, strengths, administration, leadership, determination. Challenges, impatient, insensitive, poor listener. Dislikes, inefficient, indecisive. And decisions, decisive.
Okay, good. So that's a D. Strong leaders. Our company was built on Ds. There's no doubt about it. If we look at, in a lot of cases, Henry Ford, obviously, Edison, obviously, we can go on and on, Elon Musk, we get that Ds, in many cases, are captains of industry or whatever they do. So the next one is an I. I's are the life of the party. They drove up in the yellow sports car, they want to make sure that music was playing so you all heard them. They walked in and everything's bright. If they have a spot on their shirt, they're going to freak out. And they're the kind of people that you want to go to the party with because they can meet people in an elevator and become best friends. Anybody relate to any of that? Oh, come on. Yes! Thank you. Would you read the I, please? I'm sorry. What's your name, ma'am?
PJ.
Hi, PJ.
Recognition, persuading, enthusiasm, entertaining, challenges or lack of detail, short attention span, low follow through, dislikes routine and complexity, and spontaneous decisions.
Thank you. Anybody here relate to any of that? Yeah, I knew you did, but you just went like this. This is what, your name again? Kathleen what? That was me. But you're really ready to tell us that you're an I. You emanate an I. I do too. I'm an I. I frankly am lousy at details. But guess who hangs out with me? Guess who's on my leadership team? A bunch of C's, and we'll talk about them in a minute. Guess who's on my ministry team? A bunch of C's. You know what? I used to be a one-person show. And then I realized, man, I need to collaborate. Because in collaboration is where the growth comes. You know, it's good stuff. By the way, a couple things about these. What do you think the number one fear is for a D?
Failure.
Failure, I heard that, could be. Because the D's are extroverts and they're task-oriented. Results, results, results,
And
right?
D's don't fail.
Police, did you say police don't fail?
I said D's don't.
They don't fail, they're gonna find a way, right? They're solution-based. The number one fear, according to the people keys who wrote this, is it's control, that they don't have control. They want control. And if they don't have it, they freak out.
Being in a room with indecisive people.
Yeah, right. Well said. That's just, The next one, I, what do you think the greatest fear of an I is?
Boredom,
Maybe, that's good.
being visible.
Being visible, not being recognized. Right? Because they want attention. They're attention seekers. Now, knowing that, let me tell you the numbers. D's are about 9% of the total population. Interesting. I's, and if I'm a little off on my math, the C's will call me on it. I's are 11%. But let's talk over here. Let's go to the S's. By the way, D's and I's are extroverts. A D is task-oriented, an I is relationship-oriented. Okay? If one is a high D, they need somebody around them to build relationships in their team in many cases. We all have strengths. We also need, again, people to fill in the gaps. Next one, S. S, steady, stable. 67% of the people on the planet are S's. Someone who believes they're an S, good listener, loves teammates, good worker, really looked at to bring people together. Anyone in the room that would consider themselves an S? Yes, yeah. Go for it, my friend. And give me your name again.
Scott.
Scott, would you read the S's, please?
Sure. The S's seek acceptance. Their strengths are listening, teamwork, and follow-through. Their challenges are oversensitive, slow to begin, dislikes change. Their dislikes are insensitivity and patience, and their decisions are conferring.
Okay, fantastic. And they're great listeners, as we read there, and a big part of the population. It's crazy, isn't it? Any S's in the room again? Okay, good, thank you. Great teammates, S's are. Because they like collaborating. All right, what's the greatest fear of an S?
Acceptance.
Not being accepted. Thank you very much. All right, now let's look at C's. Who is a C in the room? And that is the person that likes details. And your name again, ma'am?
Karen.
Hi, Karen. Would you read those, please?
Sure. So C's seek accuracy. Their strengths are planning, systems, and orchestration. Challenges are being a perfectionist, critical, and unresponsive. Dislikes disorganization and impropriety, and very methodical in their decision making.
So they are introverts. S's and I's are introverts. And C's look at all the details. They have to have the facts. A D, as we heard Barbara say, quick decisions. A C, it's ready, aim, fire. A D, it's ready, fire. Right? Ready, fire, aim. So you get it. Now, we're all different. Is this science? I heard somebody say the other day it's not. But where does this come from? 95% of it is accurate. Where does it come from? We filled it out. There's 17 questions that result in that. Where do the results come from? Well, the results come from our conscious and subconscious. Those charts you can see on the right, on the graph, the right one is the one that determined whatever Donald was in the front. So I believe Donald was a CD or a DC. It comes from the right graph. You can see the midline. And the questions Donald asked, that's how he sees himself. We've all taken these, you understand. They try to mix it up a little bit just to get the consistency. That's the graphs on page 4. The right one is how he sees himself. And that's determined by the front page where it says what he is. Okay, we all good? The one on the left is how he wants others to see him. That's what we call the mask in that list. And the one in the center, that is how we behave under pressure. Now here's where I find it's fascinating. You can read this on your own. If you want to do one, let me know. We have packages together where we do these, plus do coaching. You'll have my information, and you're welcome to reach out if you want to do one for you or your staff. Now, here's where I find it fascinating though. Turn to page number 8. I have a son, I mentioned him earlier, He's a broadcaster, and he's actually with the San Jose Sharks organization. When he went to college, he knew he wanted to be a broadcaster, and his first job out of college was as a broadcaster for the Kannapolis Intimidators, which used to be owned by Dale Earnhardt in Kannapolis, North Carolina. He and I drove from Santa Cruz out to his first job, and he was in joy. You can remember your first job. It was, especially if it was something you really wanted to do, right? Within 3 weeks, he calls me on the phone. Dad, hey, Nick, what's up? He said, I'm going to quit. I said, what? It's your perfect job. You're in North Carolina. I can't pick you up. He said, my boss is a jerk. Anybody relate? Anybody in this room been that boss? I certainly have. I had the best right arm when I was a young manager because I would throw staplers at my people if they made me mad. Just kidding, not really. Don't judge me. So, but I was not a good person. I reacted, I was in emotion. Anybody know that? He had that same leader, and we'll talk about those in a minute, but I said, so what are you gonna do about it? And he said, I think I'm gonna pack it up and go. So I did a pattern interrupt. Anybody know what a pattern interrupt is? I didn't say, oh, you poor Nick, I'm so sorry for you, right? No, I said, does he drink beer? That's what I asked him. He said, what? What's that have to do with this? And I don't drink, so it's not like beer is my medicine, no. But he said, well, I think so, why? I said, take him for a beer. He said, what do you mean? I said, when you're having to get about 2 beers in him and ask him a question, how do you think you best motivate me? What happens when you think you light me up? What do you see happening? I want to tell you how to motivate me. Can I tell you? This is how you talk to me. And Nick is sweet and sensitive. He said, I want respect. I need you to be my teacher. I don't need you to be my football coach. I don't need a big boot in the butt. I need you to nurture me through the process. I've never done this before. I need to, if you don't have any patience, I need you to find it for me. And I will guarantee you I'll be the best you've ever had if you give me that. Took courage. Today, they're best friends. How many conversations have you had in the past where that conversation changed everything? Or you wanted to have that conversation and you didn't have it? Look at page 8. Page 8 tells you exactly how the do's and do nots of how to communicate with you. That's what it says on there, right? Do's and do nots. Do I have the right page? So we're not going to go over it. You can read that on your own. But that says, this is how you treat me, Betsy. And this is how you do not treat me. And I've got a client currently that I have to have this conversation with. I thought about that on the way over here. Because yesterday he lit me up about something that had nothing to do with me. And I felt my knees quivering a little bit. Anybody been there before? I mean, I feel like I have a strong personality, but I didn't like the way he was talking to me. And I started to react a little bit. Anybody been there before? And I realized that wasn't our best conversation. So I need to pull mine out and read to him almost directly on how to treat me. What if you did that for all the people that you're part of? I have a friend. He's not in the diamond business. He's actually a car dealer who was single for a long time. And every one of his dates, he would give a DISC behavior assessment to. And the ladies in the room were going, really? He did. And it worked. Because today he's got an incredible marriage, incredible kids, and an incredible life. Because he knew he didn't want to date, he wanted to date and have a lifetime partner. And if it wasn't going to work, he needed to know the personality of this person. Doesn't mean he couldn't be flexible, but it did mean he had to know them. How powerful is that? And how many times do you and I not communicate very well, not say the things we need to say, when doing so could change the whole relationship? I'm telling you, this would really work. There's 30 pages in here. We didn't give them all to you, thank goodness. And I don't expect you to read all that. But again, if you find that would be of value to you, you know where to get me. All right. That's time, please.
It is 9:40.
So I have.
And you can take up until 10 unless you want to allow 5 to 10 minutes for questions. That would give you 10 more minutes.
Perfect. Do you guys want an exercise? Sure. Can you do that this early? Okay. John Maxwell, you've probably done this. but he has, in chapter 1 of Developing the Leader Within You, he talks about the 5 levels of leadership. 5 levels that are listed here, but I'm going to give you, and again, thank you, my little new assistant. There you go. If you can make sure everyone has one, I would appreciate it. By the way, I'm a little silly. That's just the way I am. Okay? It's just the way it is. Sometimes I'd like to come to these meetings in a board shirt and Hawaiian shirt, but I don't think it's always appropriate. So, everybody good? Okay. So what I want to do here is, I want to talk about those 5 levels. Anybody been through this before? Hand in the air? Yes, please. Thank you so much. And a little bit, did I say a little?
It's been a little, it's
Okay,
been-
good. So I shouldn't change my whole agenda? Okay. So there's 5 levels. Anybody ever had a bad leader before that you worked for? The staple thrower, the yeller. Anybody had that person? You know why, right? They think management is leadership. They think I got that promotion, that's the way it's supposed to be. You know what I find fascinating? How many times we promote people to a position without giving them any leadership training, right? I mean, again, I've done a lot of stuff in automotive. We take the person that sold the most cars or the service writer that had the most customers and we put them in a leadership position. They don't have a clue. So what I do a lot of times now is I'll take people in those roles that are the 20%ers that do 80% of our business, and I'll start working them through this program so that when they get the gig, they're ready. How cool is that? Talk about being proactive. But let me just tell you, you know and I know nobody does. But when I take them through this program, I say to them afterward, okay, who do you have that's going to get promoted in pretty quick? Leroy, John, Betty, boom. There's your next group. And in a lot of cases, as I said with my friend Jacob, he's taken them through it himself. And that's how he's learning it. Okay, let's talk about first one. Who likes to read in groups? Okay, first one, somebody read that first one, level 1. Somebody read that for me, please.
Position, rights, people follow you because they have to.
And again, we know a person like that. All right, we're looking at the what is that? Stepping stones, I guess, the ladder. All right, number 2. Somebody read that one for me, please.
Commission.
Yes, you just go.
Okay, permission, relationship, people follow you because they want to. Nollenberger.
Okay, so here's what that is. The first one, I'm the boss, that's the way it is. The second one takes all their employees out for beers and becomes best friends with them. The problem is, once in a while, maybe you know this person or maybe you've been that person, when you do that, you tell them to do something, they don't always do it, right? They let you lead them. Okay, third one. Somebody read that one, please.
Production, people follow because of what you've done for the organization.
Right on. So I'm going to talk automotive a little bit just because it's, again, 40% of my wheelhouse. Have you ever been to a car dealership? Have you ever seen those glass windows where they sit behind them? You know what those people are called? Desk managers. Seriously. You know why? Because they got butts that big. You know why? Is that okay to say in a chat? Because they don't get off their butt. And they don't go talk to customers. They just sit there all day. Now, I will tell you, the car business in the COVID time did fantastic. So they all think they're better than they are. They really do. They're getting an awakening the last few years, as a lot of businesses are. But here's what's interesting about that production piece. If they're good at production, they think they're all that. Anybody know anybody like that? Maybe they work for you and they have a sense of entitlement. But are they any good at developing people? And that's the next one. So let's look at the next one. Who wants to give us that one?
Barbara.
People development. People follow because of what you have done for them.
Right up. And the last one, pinnacle. That would be somebody who's built businesses, who has leaders that they've developed, that become leaders, that own businesses. That's the pinnacle leader. Bart Maxwell is a nice, easy, low-hanging fruit example. Somebody read pinnacle for me, please.
Pinnacle, respect. People follow because of who you are and what you represent.
Right on. So let's do this. I'm going to do an exercise. Go ahead, and we're going to do it, obviously, in warp speed, because we can. And I have a weakness. I know it's hard to imagine. I have many. But my weakness is I'm gonna give you way too much in 40 minutes. My Toastmaster friends might tell me you need less content. I can't do it. It's just not how I work. So I want to give you more than you paid for, right? So we're going to go to work. Everybody grab that first part, and we're going to give you some questions to ask yourself, okay? And we're going to have you be the participatory folks. In other words, you are going to read the question, you're going to go around the room quickly, read it, and then mark if it's true for you. And I'm going to start right here. Anybody that does not like to read in public? Okay, so if you give me your name before you read it, and then if it's you, mark it. If you go with that, just rock and roll around the room for all these questions. Mark it if it's you. Ready? Your name?
Catherine. I don't have to remind the people who work for me that I am a leader.
Okay, that's true. Go ahead and mark it. Next, please.
Joanne, I think of each person who works for me as an individual person, not just in terms of his or her function or role.
If that's true, mark it. You'll notice we're going fast because I don't want you to think about it. The C's in the room want to pontificate. We're not doing a watch here. Next, please.
Barbara, most days I look forward to going to work.
Okay, mark that if it's true. Next, please.
Sandy, I recognize that the position I've been given is an opportunity to learn, not turf to be guarded.
Thank you. If that's you, mark it. Next, please.
Lewis, the people who work for me are willing to do work above and beyond their job descriptions.
That's true, mark it, please. Next, please.
Tom, I know that dealing with people problems is a part of leading and have accepted that as part of the job.
If that's you, mark it, please. Next.
Karen, I possess the desire to learn more about leadership and become a better leader.
If that's true, please mark it. Next.
Jeff, I think of my job in terms of work to be accomplished and give very little focus to career path and the positions I've desired to achieve along the way.
If that's true, please mark it. Next.
Erica, one of my primary objectives is to assist the people who work for me.
Okay, if that's true, mark it.
Jill, most people find it easy to work with me.
Thank you. If that's true, mark it. That it? Okay. Now total them up. Go ahead and total up yours. When you're done, look up. Control issues, just saying. Who has 8 or more on level 1? 8 or more. 8 or more. Hand way in the air. Perfect. Okay. There's about half of us in the room, okay? The rest of you just watch and learn. You're welcome to mark it. But what that says, don't judge me, is that, there you go, that could be part of it. So you can play, you can do whatever you want in playing along, but technically, by the way you answered it, as you'll see in the instructions, you're a level 1 leader. You with me? That's where you are. So what I would say to you, if that's true, if your environment might dictate that to be true, look at some area where you want to grow. And some area, walking out of this meeting, that you want to make better. Everybody cool? Everybody say yes?
Yes.
Yes, that was excellent. All right, let's go to part 2. Let's go to the second one. And we're going to rock and roll again. We're going to leave off where we were. Same thing. Go ahead and read it, please. And we'll keep going around until we're done.
Okay, Scott, people outside of my department or area of responsibility respect my opinions and frequently seek me out for advice.
Okay, if that's true, go ahead and mark it.
Michael, I know my strengths and weaknesses and rarely get blindsided in my work.
Okay, that's true, mark it.
Kathleen, I genuinely like most people and want to help them.
Okay, that's true, mark it. Next, please.
I am very consistent and even-tempered in my interaction with the people who work for me.
If that's true, mark it, please. Next.
When I say something to the people on my team, they always know they can count on it because I am trustworthy.
If that's true, mark it, please.
Barbara, I have developed solid relationships with all of the people who work for me.
If that's true, go ahead and mark it.
Sandy, the people who work with me find me likable and pleasant nearly 100% of the time.
Very good, mark it if that's true. You. Next, please.
Lewis, when I need to have a candid conversation with team members to correct errors or take care of problems, I follow through and do not allow much time to go by.
Very good. Go ahead and mark it. Next.
Tom, I believe that employees desire more than just a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. Most desire encouragement and I give it to them.
Okay. Next, please.
Karen, I have developed relationships with everyone who works for me.
Okay. Next, please. That's it? Okay. Go ahead and total that up, please. And for those who were level 1s who moved on, officially, How many of you marked 8 or more? Okay, all right, we're moving on. There's a few of us that are moving on. Others play along. It's just that technically, as you can read in the rules, you don't move on until if you don't have 8. You need to work on that piece. Y'all get it? All right, cool. Level 3. We'll go again. Who's my next one? Very good. Let's read that. Same format, please.
Jeff, I consistently hit targets and goals in my work.
Next, please.
Good people always want to work with me and my team.
Next, please.
People see me as an expert in my field and seek me out to learn from me.
Next, please.
I am constantly setting and achieving higher goals for myself, even when my superiors don't set them for me.
Next, please.
My performance in my work often carries the team to a higher level.
Next, please.
I give my best to whatever I do.
Next, please.
I am comfortable with the idea that others are watching how I perform and follow by my example.
Next, please.
I am known as a problem solver, and I also often get difficult tasks done.
My work is very consistent on a daily basis.
PJ.
I have systems and routines that help me perform at a very high level.
Next, please.
That's it.
Okay, very good. Go ahead and total those up. You know the rules. If you're 8 or more, put your hand in the air. Okay, got a few left. Good. Level 3 leader is what you are. Congratulations. Level 4, here we go. Level 4 leader, people development. Let's rock and roll, same format.
I guess it's me. I schedule and follow through with training and development for all the members of my team on a regular, consistent basis.
Thank you.
When deadlines loom or work becomes urgent, we never cancel our training and development sessions.
Thank you.
I consistently take risks by giving people responsibilities and authority that will stretch them.
Thank you.
Karen, I spend a significant amount of time every month mentoring up and coming leaders.
Thank you.
Jeff, I know very thoroughly the strengths and weaknesses of all the people I lead.
Thank you.
I individualize the way I train, develop, and mentor my people.
Thank you.
I spend the most strategic and significant mentoring time with the people who have the highest capacity, talent, and potential.
Thank you.
I have a history of moving people from position to position to help find their fit.
Thank you.
I'm continually giving people feedback, not just during formal reviews.
Thank you.
My team or department is considered by others to be the best trained or one of the best in the organization.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it. Go ahead and total it up, please. And when you've got it, look up. How many got 8 or more on that one? 1. Okay? That one's usually where we lose our fan base. People don't like me as much when we do that one, but congratulations if you got it. Thank you, Betsy. What's that mean? If you and I are going to be a great leader, we have to what? Develop people. Usually I'll give this 5 levels to people that are considering doing business with us and going through the mastermind, because that's a wake-up call. Because what they realize is, oh yeah, maybe I'm good at production, but I'm not good at building the next bench. I'm not good at developing people. And that's an area all of us can look at. You know and I know, especially in rocky economies, what's the first thing that gets cut? Training. But what's the last thing that really should be cut? Training. And what we're doing in here is not training. I really believe I'm with a bunch of leaders, and eventually if we hang out and we get relationship personally or in business, you're going to be coaches when it's all done. And then you're going to develop coaches who develop coaches who develop coaches. That's my mission in life. So let's just, anyone who wants to jump on this, and we're just going to take a couple minutes, we know we're pushed a little bit. What's one thing you got out of this that you heard by doing this about your own self that maybe you need to look at? Anybody? Betsy, thank you.
Spending time on training and development even when we're overtasked or overworked.
Thank you. Spending time on training and development even when we're overworked. Very good. Anyone else? Speaking of time, we are obviously a few minutes from being done here today. But before we leave, I'm going to encourage you, not today, but I'm going to encourage you to take that home, look at it, and pick 1 or 2 of those things that you really want to deep dive in. If you have some questions about it, call me personally. I'd be glad to walk you through what you might have. Fair enough? But take a deep dive. Remember when we talked about DISC? When I do DISC with people, I tell them take 30 days and read your DISC. And then at the end of 30 days, answer the questions. It's not a one and done and throw it in the drawer on the right. This is not either. It's a look at it, ask yourself the question, who am I? Where do I want to be? Why do I want to be there? And also, where do I sabotage in these areas? And kind of do a little self-coaching on your own. Malcolm Gladwell? No. Malcolm Goldstein is a coach for the CEO at Ford Motor Company, a guy by the name of Alan Mulally. He was the CEO. He's written a lot of books on coaching. And what he always does is he says, I want my people that work for me to be able to coach themselves. That's what I want. In 6 months, I want us to be self-coaches. So before we leave, I've got one other gift for you. Actually, I have more than one. And let me explain it. And again, oh, thank you so much, my friend. This is not, we're not going to go over it. But I'm not going to deep dive into it. I'm going to let you study it on your own. And again, if you have a question, call me. It doesn't cost anything to have me walk you through something. But this is what's called the 15-minute miracle. And we're going to land on this. Again, technically, this is a tool that needs some time. When I go over chapter 2 in developing a leader, which is priorities, I usually spend 2 weeks on priorities. This tool here allows you to see what your priorities are.
I love it. I use something similar.
Do you? Right on. So what do you love about it?
I prioritize everything during the day.
Amen.
And every time I have something that comes in that needs to be dealt with, I have a 1 through 10.
Perfect.
So a list of importance. And
Perfect.
If it's not something that needs immediate, it goes to my 7 through 10. If it's something that needs immediate, it falls.
Excellent. I love it. I used to, and by the way, if you have a question on this, it sounds like Michael will be a good one to call.
Wow.
So here's what I would suggest. Before you even try to prioritize, find out who you are and where you are in terms of time. What do I mean by that? Make 14 copies of this baby and put it in for the next 14 days. Have them sit right next to your desk, put your date on it. And when you get up in the morning, if you're up at 6:15 talking to God, write God time. If you're going out to work out, just write down what you're doing. Don't value judge it, just write it down. You're gonna miss, you're gonna forget. Within about 3 or 4 days, it's gonna become more of a habit. You're gonna start doing it more and more. You understand? How many people know how much you have in your checking account? Right? Most of us. Some of us don't. I spent 3 weeks not looking at my stock account until yesterday because my broker said don't look at it. And I looked at it yesterday, I almost threw up. Right? I felt like Tori Lavelle. I wanted to go to a tent and eat ice cream. But here's what I'll tell you. You know where you are there. Why wouldn't you know where you are with your time? Don't worry about prioritizing. You gotta know where you are first, right? I wanna go to Newport Beach. I wanna have a house in Sarasota. But I gotta know where I am today before I get there. Would you all agree? So first things first, what I would suggest is just look at where you are. Makes sense? Okay. You'll see at the bottom there's 4 boxes. What Maxwell says, the last thing we're going to talk about today is about those 4 boxes. The 4 boxes, you can see them on there, but high intensity, high urgency is number 1. What John says is to tackle those first. And then the next one, high importance, low urgency, that's the green one. That might be the most important. Because that's what you're doing right here today. Set deadlines for that. Training. I have to train my people. Put it in writing. Put a deadline for that. Number 3 is low importance, high intensity. Just give it up. Do it, dump it, delegate it. And when you delegate it, train them. And don't take it back, you D's in the room. And lastly, low importance, low urgency. What that says is you're watching too many video games if you're living there. So ask yourself, where am I living? Does that make sense? And again, you'd love to live it too. That's when you reach your full potential. Okay. Thank you so much. You've got my information right here as well. If you want to take a picture of that, I would encourage that. Oops. I think I'm on the right one. There you go. And here's what I would say to you. If you want a DISC behavior assessment of your own, you've got my number, you've got my email, call me, and I'll also tell you about the coaching package that goes with it. You get, 70% off. because of the fact that we did this today. If you want to know how I can do the mastermind, bring me into your organization and we'll do a lunch and learn for your group and you can kind of see how it looks, okay? And we'll tell you more about that if you call me. But I have a gift for you as we leave. I told you I wrote a book and what I'm being honored to do, it's not for everyone. It's a dark story that's turned into an incredible light. But my gift for you for hanging out with me today is you get the book, okay? I'm blessed with my 38 years of sobriety. I'm blessed that I get to be a leader, and I'm also blessed because of the life that God has given me. And this is all shared in my book. I've got other books coming. The next one is called Sailing the Seven Seas, which is a leadership-based book. Sailing, S-A-L-E-I-N-G, and that'll be out mid next year. But this one talks about the story and where I've been. So I'm encouraged that you guys would please grab one, take one. If you'd like me to sign it, we can do that at the end, okay?
Give him a round of applause, thank you.
And we're gonna do one picture, is that okay, Ms.
Yes,
Benson?
I was actually gonna do that too. Can you
Okay.
all look over here real quick too? I can send it to you, Mark.
Okay,
Can you
cool.
do that? Yeah, everyone look
Everybody
at me.
hold up your book. Can you hold up your book?
That's great.
A little bit of
Wait,
promo,
hold
man.
on, Mark, for this time. Okay,
Yes.
ready? 3, 2, 1, cheese. Awesome, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Benson. See you guys.
Awesome. We do have the next class right away. If you stay, please stay with us. If you are going, please go.
Is there any more?